let me tell you, I said to myself, I need to make sure that people understand what we're about to get into today, because I didn't want anyone to, I don't want to say feel some kind of way, but I'm going to say feel some kind of way, right? Because Gwendolyn is going there. Gwendolyn often goes there. We are definitely going there today. Not going to lie about it. So let's just start with this. Let me just get right into it. Because when you do this kind of research, man, the amount of information you find, yeah, it can be a bit much. But let me start with this. They had an FBI raid not too long ago. And this FBI raid, they arrested some church leaders accused of forced labor and $50 million in fraud. $50 million. Federal agents arrested 2 leaders of the Kingdom of God Global Church in a case involving forced labor, trafficking, and $50 million in alleged fraud. Prosecutors say donations for humanitarian causes instead funded luxury houses, cars, and lavish spending. David Taylor and Michelle Brannon face multiple felony charges that could carry decades in prison. Man. Now look, if you want to live a certain lifestyle, I think it's great. But clearly there is a running theme when it comes to some churches, okay? Some churches, some pastors, all the things. Where this thing, we see it so often. We've seen it entirely too many times. And then we have this one. Now, this one is fairly recent. And I want to say this, a lot of this is fairly recent. So I didn't have to go back like years. I went anywhere from a day ago to 3 months ago. Now, I can add in other stuff, but there was so much to choose from. I just didn't know what to do. It was so much to choose from. But we have a Gateway Church. We got Robin Morris, founder of Gateway Church. He finally pled guilty, took a plea deal to sexually assaulting, I should say abusing, a 12-year-old girl. Yet he will only serve 6 months in prison, and those 6 months will be in Oklahoma. This is a church in Texas, Dallas, Fort Worth area, to be exact, but only 6 months in jail. Right? Now, let me dig into this really quick. Just get the highlights. And I'm sure you guys heard about this. It came out late last year that this young lady, and she was a child, right? She was 11 years old when it started. He was a traveling evangelist. This happened in Oklahoma. He was 21 years old at that time, and he started sexually abusing Cindy Clemshire for more than 4 years during the 1980s. Started when she was 12 years old. The story he gave when this came out last year was that here he was, this 21-year-old, and here she was, this promiscuous 12-year-old who forced herself upon him. And what was he supposed to do? So when it finally came out, it was never filed as a crime. Never. And it took her a very long time and a lot of courage to finally come out and demand justice. So in 1987, Morris' grooming and sexual assault of a child was not reported as a crime. I'll say it again. That was in 1987. It is 2025, and she's just now getting justice, if you call it that. And it's 2025. And he's going to do 6 months. 6 months. Oh, man. When I hear these stories, and we've heard them over and over and over and over again, I go to a place of how and why does it keep happening? Now, I'm gonna tell you right now, I had to get out my good book because there are some things in there that kind of tell you about what's going down. So I picked this verse from Matthew. It says, "Beware of false prophets who come to you in sheep's clothing, but inwardly are ravenous." We're going to talk about these rules today, people. We're going to talk about these rules today. I want to say this before I go to it. Do know that if you're watching the replay, you're like, I got to get up and go, you can catch us on Amazon Music, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and the replay will be on Indie Soup Media. You can do that. You can catch it because you might want to share it with your friends later on. But let's play this intro. We're going to get back to this conversation. Good afternoon. This is Gwendolyn G.R. Houston Jack. I really should get some sort of tune for that, right? It's like a little something. But you are tuning into a live edition of Guuuuurl, Listen. And we are streaming live to LinkedIn. So hello, LinkedIn. Hello. Thank you for being here. We're also streaming live to YouTube. Hello, YouTube. Love having you here as well. If you're on YouTube, you can like, share, subscribe, tell a friend and tell two friends and they tell two friends and then tell, everybody gets to know about it. So yes. Yeah. I want to get right back to our conversation, but I have an announcement. I'm so excited. So excited. So you guys know I have the Veiled Vault, right? I have the Veiled Vault and I've been working on some things. One of those things just so happened to arrive today. I was like, oh my goodness. Okay, so Gwendolyn said, I have this Monday message and I say a lot of stuff. Some of the stuff probably shouldn't be printed, but I'm printing some things anyway. But one of the things that I printed, a couple of things I printed was some of my, I guess you'd say affirmations, mantras, and one of them is space and grace. And I wanted it as a candle. So when I am doing my Sunday soak, I can soak and feel really good and have this beautiful smell. So one of the scents is peppermint passion fruit, which I think is so cute. We're talking about space and grace and we're thinking about mindfulness. Then, of course, I have Break All the Rules, which is, I think it's cinnamon and vanilla, which I love, though. So Break All the Rules. And yes, it's a bunny. Uh-oh. Hold on, little guy. Get in there. Let me make sure I get him in there. Hold up. Can we focus? There we go. Focus, kids. Focus. Break all the rules. There you go. And then for the holidays, because I like the holidays, we have Unwrapped and Bothered. So we got some Christmas, some holiday scents working there. All the good things. I'm so excited. Let me get my color back. Come on back, light. Come on back. There you go. I'm so excited to have these candles available. It is amazing. And yes, of course, it is also TGIFF. That G is Fire Fridays. Yeah, we're going to start here. And I'm going to move. I got to move. We're going to start here because I got a lot I want to cover. And then we're going to roll over to Indie Soup Media tonight, 6 o'clock Eastern. Yeah, 7 o'clock Eastern, 6 o'clock Central. I get my times all mixed up. And we're going to do another edition of Guuuuurl Listen. Let's say some hellos. Get into it. Yes, Jessica is here. And of course, I said hello back. Hello. And yes, 6 months. Not only is it insane, it is beyond disgusting. Beyond. But, okay, so I didn't take the time to talk about the justice system. Maybe I can do that next week. How we just have this sort of lackadaisical approach to predators, right? Like, what can I tell you? Dr. Tachi is here in the building. Hello, Dr. Tachi. We also have Ron Foster in the building. We have hellos going all over. Woo. Now, people, I want you to brace yourselves because I had the warning sign for a reason. I don't know if it actually made it here because sometimes going live, there's like a slight delay, but whatever. But we're talking about predators in the pulpit. Yes, we are. So I want to start with religion first. I want to talk about religion versus spirituality because in my mind, they are different and they are different. When you have religion, You've got organized systems with doctrines, rituals, and hierarchy. There is a lot of external figures and things, clergy, sacred texts, traditions. There is a shared belief and practices. And this is often fear-based. We're talking about, well, you're sinning and you're going to be punished and you get rewards for doing good things and all of that. Then you have, it's mediated through institutions. And there are some fixed rules and expectations. That's how I see religion, right? That's just me. Did I do a little bit of research? I did a little bit of research. Yes, I did. But I'm looking and speaking from my own lived experience. And I'm not going to lie. Gwendolyn has a hard time with authority. Okay? A hard time with authority. Just, every now and then. I got a hard time. Our dear doctor says, check to make sure you selected the correct mic. It sounds a bit echoey. Really? Oh, well, thank you, doctor. Let me see here. Hold on. Let me see if I have the right mic. Let me see. All right, let's see here. Let me know how it sounds. Would you please? Let me know how it sounds. But we do have the right mic select. I only have the one connected here, so I appreciate that. Thank you, ma'am. I appreciate you looking out for me. Thank you. Let's talk about spirituality. Let's go there. It is fluid, typically personal, intuitive. There is a connection to the divine, whatever that is for you. It's also really internal, right? You're looking at your intuition, your soul. You're going based on your lived experiences. You're looking at that. It is more individual in the journey. It may or may not involve others, right? That may not be what is there, but it is definitely love-based. We have growth, peace, and alignment. And then there's also this evolving where we have some self-defined practices. And I do see one thing. Hold on. I'm going to change one thing. Oh. Hold on. I'm coming. Hold on. I'm coming. Hold on. I'm coming. Hold on. Don't you like how I sing and do stuff? We're working behind the scenes here, people. Okay. I need someone to give me a mic check. Give me a mic check out there. Let me know how we are sounding. Let me know, because I just moved some things around hoping that it sounds better, but if not, let me know so I can make sure all is well. Jessica's going to be like, what? Yeah, we're doing all the things over here to make sure that stuff is working the way it ought to work. All right. I think. Oh, okay. Well, it's in my face. But I think I can, let me see if I can raise it. Oh, I'm not even on the screen. Hold on. I'm going to raise it. Okay. Thank you, people, for working with me. Thank you. All right, let's talk about why. Now that I've adjusted my mic a little bit, can you hear me now? So here's the deal about religion. I'm going to keep this really short because there's a number of religions, but the primary reason why you see so many different religions, right? You got your Baptist, Protestant, Catholic, and all the Hindu, Buddha, all the things. I'm speaking from Christianity specifically, right? That's because that's what I know, Christianity. Somebody didn't like what somebody was doing and said, I'm going to go do my own thing and create my own rules for said thing. And then you break off into all these different versions of one religion. If you think about the American cities, and I'm in the South, where you don't have to go very far to find a church. If I go one street over, like quarter mile over, there are 4 churches, and they're all next to each other. 4. There's a lot of traffic on Sunday. A lot. And you ask yourself, how is that even possible? It's just the way that some people didn't like what someone was doing. I don't like what John is doing, so I'm gonna go do my own thing and call it the so-and-so religion, blah, 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 and yada, yada, yada. And people follow. And we're gonna talk about the following part. But people follow. So now that we know why we have 5,000 religions and 800,000 churches, let's get into it. Let's talk about what we gotta talk about. We're gonna start with the sexual abuse first. Are all the abuses awful? Yes. They are. It's not like one is worse than the other. But one of them, in my opinion, happens a lot more than the other. I'm just saying, but this is it. So I did a quick little search. I'm going to show this. I did this little search to just see if you put in preachers that fell from grace, what do you get? You get a lot. You don't have to put in much to get the number of stories of preachers who have, in the words of Jimmy Swaggart, I have sinned. You don't have to look very far. You don't have to look very far. It doesn't take a lot to find a story about it. There is a lot going on in Texas. Can I just say that? I don't know what's going on down here in Texas. We got some real problems down here, but there's a lot. Story after story after story after story of pastors who in some form or fashion had to step away from their church because of some unknown or known sin. And a lot of times I have found when they say that they had some unknown sin, it's typically something that is sexual in nature. We may or may not find out years afterwards, months later, but history has shown that it tends to be sexual in nature. But what's also interesting here too, in the midst of all of these articles, and I think I'm on page 3 now of all the different articles that are coming through when you want to find something, is that it's not just the pastor by himself or herself, because women are pastors too, the preacher. It oftentimes involves other people, which I just find ludicrous that it involves other persons. Right? Now, this one, I think it's like maybe a day old. As Ron says, all these churches and so many demons in them. Yeah, to say the least. To say the least. This is from yesterday. Yeah. Yesterday, former West Virginia pastor, youth minister, indicted on new child sexual abuse charges. Okay, so when they're new ones, that means that there are probably some old ones too, but there's some new ones. So yeah, this is a former West Virginia pastor, youth minister at various churches, because they never just have victims at one place. No, that's too much like right. Who was arrested in 2024 amid a child sexual abuse investigation, has been indicted on nearly a dozen new charges. John Radcliffe, II, 58, was indicted this week by a Braxton County grand jury on 3 counts of sexual assault and 6 counts of sexual abuse-related charges, according to court records. The indictments allege Radcliffe sexually abused a preteen child in Braxton County between the years of 1995 and 97. And keep this in mind, he and his wife were arrested in November 2024 for nearly the same thing, right? Oh my God, is what I say. Not just him by himself, he and his wife. I find myself trying to understand this mindset, and I get it. I'm going to talk about how we get ourselves in this position. And the reason why I'm talking about it, I want to make sure I'm clear here. This is not about sensationalism. This is not it, because it continues to happen. And at some point, we have to look ourselves and the wolves we have to look ourselves in the face. We have to face what's really happening here and stop pretending it's a one-off. It is not. As Dr. Tachi says, exactly, Ron. Yet they're worried about the effects of Halloween on children as they refuse to address the demons in the pulpits. Well, all right. Let's talk about this sexual abuse by clergy, shall we? I want to go there. I got some numbers for you. Like I said, we did the research. I got some numbers for you. So let me just make sure that we hear this completely. There are over 7,000 claims of sexual abuse by church staff, clergy, or volunteers. They were made to just 3 insurance companies over a 20-year period. We didn't get all the insurance companies, just the 3. A study of 300 plus child sexual abuse cases in Protestant congregations found most occurred on church grounds or in the offender's home. In average U.S. congregation of 4,400 people, you're going to find 7 women have experienced clergy sexual misconduct, or CSM. You will also find that 32 people have witnessed or known about that clergy sexual misconduct in their faith community. 10 to 14% of pastors admit to sexual contact outside their marriage while employed as ministers, and 90 to 95% of the victims of clergy sexual exploitation are women. I want that to sit for a second. Okay? Now, they just looked at Protestant. We didn't even get to all the others because I could be here for hours and I don't have that kind of time today. I don't have it. I don't know exactly at what point do we recognize there is a problem. Now, I understand how religion works, which is why I am clear in saying I am spiritual. I'm not following somebody and their made-up rules. I refuse to do so. It's not where I thrive. I am not telling anyone to leave your church home or to change how you do things. But the fact that you have people who know about sexual misconduct, and then a lot of them don't say anything. A lot of them, I don't want to say turn their head but like a lot of them just sort of say, well, maybe it's, and a lot of the victims are women. And we see how we treat women when women are abused in any shape or form or fashion. We see that. I think about some of the stories I looked at where some of these ministers, these preachers were asked how and why this happened. And some of the comments were they came on to me. Like that pastor, 21 years old, traveling, said the 12-year-old threw herself upon him. She seduced him at 12 years old. He's married and traveling. Right. There is always putting the victim, shaming and blaming on the victim. This 8-year-old boy is why I did what I did. He seduced me at 8 years old. Okay, yeah, because that makes sense. Let's talk about why we are targeted as parishioners. Let's talk about that. Because abusive pastors often use spiritual authority to silence dissent and justify misconduct. There is that power play. I have often said, as a dear friend shared, a lot of these things are power over, not power with. It is power over. And then there is that spiritual manipulation. We've seen movies. We've seen movies about preachers who have done this, that, and the other. And we think, could that really happen? We have seen these people work. If you've ever sat in a church that you were visiting and really listened, you start hearing stuff like, are y'all okay with this? Because this is kind of, we know a lot of them are charismatic. They use that personality, that charm. But they could claim that divine backing for their actions, making victims feel guilty or confused about speaking out. Right? Me coming to you in this manner was a sign from God. This is what God wants. It's okay. Trust me. Yeah. There's emotional and social isolation. Victims are often isolated from outside support, making them dependent on the pastor or church community. They may discourage relationships outside the church or shame those who seek help elsewhere. We've seen it. We see it often. Now, I will say that Jim Jones may be one of the most popular ones. I mean, there are others. Clearly, I have others. But we've seen it that when people finally wake up and recognize what's happening, And they tell other people the first thing you do is you make them look like, one, they're probably crazy, they're jealous, they're, all these things are why they're doing what they're doing. All these things. We look at the financial and emotional exploitation, and there's a lot of that. They manipulate congregants into giving money or favors under the guise of faith or obedience. So tithing, I'm gonna tell you right now, I appreciate, and I'm being facetious, how people will pick a verse and make a whole thing about it. Now, if you want to get to the church, get to the church. We all know about the building fund. I've been in a couple of churches. The buildings have never been built, but they've been funded for a number of years. A number. There's emotional grooming, especially of vulnerable individuals. It is common when they're creating a false sense of intimacy or trust. And more importantly, they are targeting people who are vulnerable. Abusers often seek out those in crisis, grief, or transition, people looking for spiritual guidance and healing. I found a set of stories of women who went in for couple therapy, right? They go together with the husband, and then eventually they split up the husband and the wife. And that was just the wife and the pastor. And somehow the pastor, sensing what she needs to feel whole, a whole relationship starts. Ain't that something? Okay. Women, youth, and those with limited support systems are especially at risk. Yeah. This is what we're doing. This is what we're seeing. And we see it time and time again. And the question is, at what point do we call out what is happening and recognize it? I'm not saying every single pastor has some ulterior motive. We're not saying that. We're not saying that some churches don't do what they're supposed to do. We're not saying that either. But we do know that there are some people who are purposely getting into the pulpit because it's big business. And with that, I want to go here. This is actually a favorite scene of mine from Justified. So there is this scene where Boyd Crowder is going into this revival tent, and he quotes this to this young pastor who is actually really into the word, but his sister, she's there for the money. So he says, "Beloved, be not every spirit, but try the spirits, whether they are of God, because many false prophets are gone out into the world. Hereby know ye the Spirit of God. Every spirit that confesseth that Jesus Christ is come in the flesh is of God. And every spirit that confesseth not that Jesus Christ is come in the flesh is not of God. And this is that spirit of Antichrist. Whereas as ye have heard that it should come, and even now already is it in the world." So let's talk about some of these people who are doing all the things, right? These preachers and these financial scams. Because, man, you thought that was the sexual abuse was something that was easy. Florida has Florida likes financial scams. I was trying to be gracious. Okay, they just like financial scams. There was a lot of Florida pastors, and I actually put it in there. And it just rained down on me. I said, okay, so we got a lot going on in Florida when it comes to running financial scams. I don't know if it's because you got the right group down there, people who have money, who are willing to just like part ways with it. But there was a lot of stories that came up when it came to financial scams and preachers. Now, do we have some in New York? I do have that bishop who went around getting like all his Gucci and everything. We do have him in there as well. So that's there. But the financial scams, these prosperity preachers, which we know we have seen many of, and we'll call them, God, I hate saying the mega church preachers, but it's the mega church preachers. It's the mega church preachers. There's a lot of ongoing cases right now of these preachers who have taken the money that was meant for humanitarian events. It was meant for the community. It was meant for the church. It was meant for the building fund. We have seen a lot of these preachers not put the money where they're supposed to put the money. I mean, you're in Florida, so why not, right? You're in Florida. Tata says they love prosperity teaching in the South. Do they ever? It is big dollars, people. It's big money. It is big. I could have sworn, and I didn't find him in my list, and I didn't go back very far. I didn't need to go back very far. I stuck with pretty much like 2022 to 2025. But I could have sworn there was a pimp in Chicago who became a preacher. I don't know. I could go back and look it up. But yeah. So this is a Florida pastor's former wife. I guess they decided to break it up. Accused of stealing $180,000. This pastor's ex-wife was using the church credit card to make over 1,000 personal purchases. What can I tell you? Because that's the deal. This pastor's wife was like something diabolical. You know what? Of course it's Florida. Oh yeah, it's Florida. It's Florida. Even that other couple, they had the property in Florida, but then they had other properties like in Las Vegas and other places. Yeah, I don't know what it is about Florida. Maybe they're going after the snowbirds. Not so sure. But we see all of this stuff where you see these pastors telling their parishioners, if you just pray harder, the good Lord's going to take care of you. And in the meantime, why don't you go ahead and write me this check for $1,000 that I know you don't have, but I need to have because I need to have X, Y, and Z for me and my family. Right? It is big business to sell religion, to just somehow end up in that one case having $50 million in fraud, forced labor. It gets beyond ridiculous. As my mother tunes in, it gets beyond ridiculous. And it's just money that you're not going to take with you. But they do it over and over again. Now, this is that pastor out of, Brooklyn? He's out of New York, right? This is this New York pastor. Sentenced to 9 years for fraud, including taking a single mom's $90,000. This was from last year. This is a guy who was known for his flashy wardrobe. And I didn't put it in there, but if you've ever seen Honk for Jesus, I want to say it's by Jordan Peele. And it was a great, you say satire, but it was pretty on point. But it was about the Black church and how you have the pastor and the first lady, and they do all these things to look good, and all the while the pastor is having an affair with a parishioner who happens to be a young man, and he's coming to light. They say it's a shakedown, but it is what it is. But these are the things that are happening. So we got Lamore Whitehead. He's a flamboyant pastor who made headlines in 2022 when he was robbed during a live stream church service in Brooklyn, and then became the target of criminal charges himself. He's been sentenced to 9 years in federal prison. The U.S. District Judge Lorna G. Schofield imposed the punishment on Monday after Whitehead was found guilty of numerous fraud and attempted extortion charges, along with lying to the FBI. Prosecutors portrayed the 45-year-old church leader as a grifter, siphoning money from his followers and demanding money for what he claimed was influence over New York Mayor Eric Adams. That is what that was. Yeah. He says oversized Gucci emblems and those glasses tell me all I need to know. It was big news. He was huge news when this all went down. Huge news. And flashy jewelry, this was a mess of both. Yes, it was. It was all over. It was all over because, it happened when it was live. And then they started digging deep into what was really going on. And then you realize what's going on. Let me say this. I wouldn't be surprised if Ad was Dr. Tachi, say that 5 more times. Like real talk. what kind of person you have to be to steal $90,000 from a single mother? Right? Better yet, just when you are preying on people's vulnerabilities, like these are people who are coming to a place of worship, a place that should be safe, right? They're looking for guidance. They may be looking for love. They're in grief. They're in some sort of emotional pain. And they're coming to you. And the only thing you see on their forehead is $ and sucker. Can you imagine that? Like, we've seen it 5,000 times over. We have seen it. And yet, and still, this is where we go. Now, let me go full screen real quick, because something needs to be noted. In this country, and like a lot of others, church is a place where, again, you believe it is a safe space. When you move and you're trying to make friends or figure out a neighborhood or what's going on, you tend to look for a church home. Because typically when you go there, you're going to meet somebody and they may know somebody, and you make connections, you're in the community. So you tend to be a little bit more open. Your heart is on your sleeve. So it's not surprising that we see people be taken advantage of in this particular building and setting. It's not surprising. And people are preying on it, literally praying, preying, praying on it on a daily basis. It's kind of like the health and wellness and fitness area. People are going to come every year to lose weight, get healthy. They're going to pay all the money and then may never actually get there. Same thing here. People will show up and pay money and do all the things because they're looking for that saving grace. Let me continue, because I got more. There's more. This is never just the one. So let me tell you about, hey, shout out to Lisa who's here. You're never late. We're never late, as well as Spencer B's in the building. These are preachers who use God to get rich and then got exposed. There is actually a documentary on YouTube. Forgive me for not putting the name in my notes. I normally have my notes right here in front of me. Forgive me. But I know you know these names because they're big names. Peter Popoff, Jim Bakker, Creflo Dollar, Kenneth Copeland, Benny Hinn, Eddie Long, Carl Litz. Man, do I know some of these names? Yes, we do know some of these names. Unfortunately, he says, I look for my friends in the bowling alley. Look for my friends in the bowling alley. Thank you, Ron. Yes, there are other places to make some friends. We know that. But we have seen these people use God and get rich, right? They were promising miracle products. As a matter of fact, if I'm not mistaken, I want to say I saw Jim Bakker just last year, still on some TV channel, 1-800 whatever. And I want to say he was hawking like holy water and something else. I can't remember. And he has his new wife who looks a little similar to somebody else. But they were hawking some other, pay me this money and you'll get spiritual, blah, blah, blah. I mean, it's so upsetting to know that there are people who really want to have, in my opinion, a genuine relationship with the good Lord. And then this happens, right? We've heard about Creflo Dollar. We know about that. Kenneth Copeland. I know some people who know Kenneth Copeland. Talked about that. It's upsetting, right? It is upsetting. As Lisa says, I didn't know Lentz got in trouble. Yes. Yeah. When we had our centennial in DC in 2013, we were staying in the same hotel as Peter Popoff Revival. It was a mess. Let me tell you some of the other things that they were hawking, right? Some of these preachers were selling lifetime memberships to non-existent resorts. Some of them had tax evasion, misuse of ministry frauds. A lot of them did the lavish personal spending, so luxury cars, mansions, personal jets, helicopters. And there was always a sermon that was very manipulative, that promised wealth in exchange for donation. You just buy your way to heaven. You can buy your way to heaven. Just give me $5.99 for this, for this, that, and the other. Goodness. Peter Popoff is one that does the miracle spring water. I was good for falling asleep on the couch and waking up at nothing o'clock in the morning, and he would be healing people. I know. You know, I hate, okay, let me take it back. I shouldn't be laughing at it. I really should not. Because there are people who believe in it. Now, our grandmother, through marriage, Grandma Penny, I remember her giving Kenneth an envelope with a check that she wanted to send it to Jimmy Swaggart. And I looked at him and said, are we going to really mail that in? And he was like, she wants me to mail it in. I said, I know what she wants you to do, but you and I both know that man is taking their money. Like, he's like, it's not my place to not mail it in. I told her I would. And so you find yourself in this sticky situation of, do we cut off our loved ones when they're at a certain place from giving these people their hard-earned money, knowing that it's just a fraud? Like, I don't know. I can't remember if he mailed it or not. I really can't. I can't tell you. All I know is I was like, I don't think you should mail it. We know that man is a fraud. We know that. And I don't believe that we should take grandma's money and yeah. He said, Peter Popoff is funny. His name to be a pastor. Thank you, Lisa. These demons all have prayer cloths and a handkerchief. Yes, they do. They do. I'm going to find the title of the YouTube documentary because it's on YouTube, but they expose all of these pastors for who they are. They expose every single one. And so I want to give this some thought, because this is it's hard. And let me tell you why it's hard before I go there. Spirituality is close to the vest, right? It's kind of like, and I know I'm going to minimize it to a certain extent, but I'm not. It's kind of like as a child finding out, if you were given this, that Santa Claus isn't real, right? Like that's where I want to go. Because if you just go to any search and you put in the number of people who realized that they were part of a cult, or who had their faith shaken because they found out that these things were happening in the church that they were giving time, money, blood, sweat, and tears to, it's hard to laugh. As a matter of fact, it's very hard not to cry or to be extremely upset that you want to just like punch somebody, you know? And what's also more upsetting, and I didn't add it here, but what's also really upsetting is how persons in the church are so quick to invite these wolves back into the hen house. We go to a place of blaming the victim, be they a child or an adult. We blame the victim for leading the pastor astray and for enticing them and doing all the things, completely missing that this person is an abuser with multiple victims. We just think about all the times you have seen these stories happen. The Catholic Church, the Protestant Church, these Mormons, we keep seeing the same old thing. And again, I'm not saying change your faith. Okay, well, what I might be saying is put your faith in the good Lord and not in some man or woman, because there's some women out there too. I didn't add all their stories. It's not as many as the men, but they're out there too. But at what point do we, as a society, say we got a problem? Now we have a lot of problems. A lot. I mean, at this point, religion is politicized. We know that. We know that. And then inside this church, there is this very safe haven for all the abusers. Emotional abuse, sexual abuse, financial abuse. It is a safe haven. Because there's a cajillion stories about it. And I don't know how you get people to wake up and say, this is not right, this is wrong, or to even hear when something is not quite right. Now, I tell you, I was always that kid who didn't follow the straight and narrow, but I will say this, I recognize when my faith in man, or I should say when I recognized religion was not my cup of champagne, because sometimes I do put it in my little red Solo cup. It's when all the stuff happened with Jimmy Swaggart and Jim Baker, Jim and Tammy Faye. Because, you know, when you're a young person, you are very impressionable. You're watching, you know, sometimes the 700 Club. Because, you know, you're watching these people and you're growing up with them. And then you're like, this doesn't sound right. It doesn't feel right. It is not registering for me. Like I'm not getting it. And it is easy to get caught up in a person, in their personality, in the charisma, and believe that that is your pathway to heaven. Seeing it, we keep seeing it. Every day, these people are going to church. Now I'm gonna say it real quick. Every day they go into church, they sit in a pew. Somebody talks to them, they come out to the same old evil because their heart has not changed. We see that. Like we wouldn't be in the world we're in if they were really using the good book. If they were really following those 10 commandments, we wouldn't be in this place. Shouldn't be. But it's business, it's money, it's power over people. I'm not saying that you need to change your religion. I am not going there. All I'm saying is, if something in your heart says this feels kind of funny, then you should believe that. Like there was a pastor, and I did not put it in here because again, so many stories here in the Dallas area. Another Dallas area pastor who had spent some time away for some unknown sin. He was just welcomed back into the church, back into the flock. Now I don't know how many times you have to. Do we all do things? Yes, we do. Yeah. But I also believe there are some things that I'm just not sure I can get back on board with. You sexually abusing people is one of them. You stealing from people is definitely one of them. Let me get to the comments. I apologize. Here we go. They love giving away those made in China prayer cloths and other paraphernalia. Thank you, Tachi. That they do. Have you ever seen a child cry after learning the knowledge of there being no Santa Claus? It's traumatic. I can't even think of the church now. This church was based in New York. They had a church in New York, but they came from overseas. So they built other churches here in New York. And the family that was impacted by this, man, when she started just sharing how her heart was broken, I felt that. I was like, oh my goodness. I mean, you hate to see it. But, you know, we are given from a very young age our values. Now, our values, in my opinion, come from my parents, right? It just trickles down. And depending on if you ever get to a place of really being your own person, you will develop your own values and realize that's not my jam. It's not my jam. Now, we were in the church all the time. My mom says all the time to church. But at a certain point, it was like, you guys make your own decision. This is you. So every single one of us has our own relationship with the good Lord. Like we all have our own. And not that I don't like going to someone's church, but if I gotta sit in this building for 5 hours, that's a no. Like no and no. Or when your pastor starts talking about some stuff, he, she, or they, and it's just like rambling on about whatnot, and I'm thinking this is not it. I can't do this. It is traumatizing to be in a place and realize everything you have known is a lie. When faith is involved. It's a lot. It really is a lot. And what about that one the one from Brooklyn who faked being robbed, Bishop, somebody? Wasn't that the same guy? That Lamora Whitehead guy? I mean, I say that, but you don't have to go very far for any stories about pastors falling from grace. She said, yes, I used to watch 700 Club. Yes. I mean, we had the 700 Club. We had there was that Christian radio station, at least in Houston. And there were these stories. And I remember one of the characters was named Sparky. I can't even tell you like everybody else, but I just know that there was this Christian story and they would talk about it and they would do this whole thing and they would take like one of the stories out of the Bible and they would have a discussion. And then we would learn about XYZ in that radio time. My mother played it in the car. So we were listening to Christian radio, right? Like, we get these values as a kid. At a certain point, you have to decide what's really your values, what's your belief system, and what was given to you. Some of us just take whatever our family members gave to us and we never think about what we really believe in. Right? Now, I'm a very logical person. So when people say that only so many thousand people are going to heaven, I was like, well, then what's the point? I mean, if you're telling me that you can only bring in so many people and here you are just being born, then you might just be a heathen. There's no point. I mean, like, isn't it already full? It's like that kind of stuff, but whatever. Okay, but that's already said because one man, i.e. a pastor, is just a man, and we are not supposed to revere a man. Yes, but think about all the people who put a lot of attention into their pastor. They put a lot of attention and pride into their pastor. Thank you, Hillsong. Thank you, Hillsong. Oh my. Ooh, the stuff that happened there. Hillsong. Yes. And you get the most charismatic, let me go back. You get the most charismatic person to start preaching to these people. And then you get a lot of ego and everything else. I don't, humans are fatally flawed. I get that. Because I think about, quick little side note, the folks who are in politics, maybe not all of them. A good chunk of them, when they got into it, did it for the people. And then at some point, the ego and the power and everything else just corrupted the brain. That's how I see it. And then there are others who already know that it's big business. They get in, and then that's why they're there, right? The extra offering for the new church steps after you already tied. Yes, the building fund and the building never got there. Yeah, that was him. Yes, that was him. Focus on the family. And that's the nonsense. Who told these people the number going to heaven? It says asinine as saying you have the date to the end of the world. We don't want to talk about. Okay, all right, Dr. Tachi, since you brought it here before we wrap this up. Okay, so now look, I could have sworn what I read was no one will know the date, the time, the hour. That's what I remember learning. Nobody will know the date, the time, nor the hour. And yet and still, I guess somebody had the cheat sheet. Somebody went into the teacher's office and found the secret code, kind of like in war games. And it was like, okay, so it's going to happen on either the 23rd or the 24th. Okay? So everybody get ready. So again, person who was logical, I can't help but say, but I could have sworn nobody is supposed to know the date, the time, nor the hour. So how y'all getting ready? How y'all getting these dates? Who told you? Because, bruh. lymph nodes. And God bless them, and I mean that. But planning out a whole entire map and schedule for how their dog should be cared for when they go, and whoever gets my house, do this, and I gave away my house, I quit my job, I said, oh, Lord have mercy, Lord bless us, Lord. Literally, because I know I say it a lot. I'm like, no, really, I'm asking right now. Hillsong was something else. That's what I call that type of Christian soft rock music that I don't like. Hillsong music, yes. And we ain't even talk about Joel Osteen because he's not like his daddy. But this mega church where it's just, big business, so big that when people need help, you would even open up the church doors to help those people because, I don't want them in my church during this time of suffering and need. That's not happening. My mom always asks that if there's only supposed to be an X amount of people, then what are we all doing because the quota has already been filled? I mean, that makes sense, right? It doesn't even, yeah. Yes. When you don't read your Bible, you fall for crapple. I go back to it. Now, my mother, being the retired minister that she is, always said, read it for yourself. Right? You got to get in the book. But a lot of these people, I'm not judging because really, I got all my skeletons neatly lined up and organized because I'm organized. But you got to read it for yourself. And then make sure it actually makes sense. Does it even make sense? So let me now go into that because I want to go there, right? Do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Then you will be able to test and approve what God's will is, his good, pleasing, and perfect will. You got to know, right? Renew your mind daily. Get in your book. Get in the good book daily, right? Whatever your faith is, and I mean that, whatever your faith is, do that. But just following people blindly, oh my God. Do I have a solution? I do not. I don't have a solution. I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. People ask me questions and I tell them exactly what it is. And I have been in places where they'll say, are you faith-based? And I was like, I'm not understanding. I'm not understanding. I don't know. But if you're asking me if you should talk about how the good Lord has blessed you, I don't ask. I just tell. I'm not asking for nobody's permission. You know what I'm saying? I'm here this morning. Amen. Amen. My mama say, amen. You know what I'm saying? Get in the good book, people. Is there a solution? I don't know. Will we ever get to a place where we start holding these thieves, these wolves, these abusers, these predators accountable? If we're giving them 6 months and we're inviting them back in willingly, I don't know. I'm not so sure. We got a lot to learn. But hey, let me do this really quick. Let me do this because time is moving. Okay, so every Thursday, 1 to 4, we do work and chill, work, connect, and thrive. And each one, teach one, come co-work with us. We are going to do a free AI 101 for creative entrepreneurs. That is Thursday, October 16th, next week, 6:30 to 8. If you are just even the tiniest bit curious about AI, come on in. We're going to help you get it together. Don't be afraid. We're here to help you get it together. This is a safe, no judge-free zone. Wait, no judge-free? Judge-free zone. It's a judge-free zone. We also have from Lisa. Hey, we've got Hello Healing in Bali with Lisa Seeley, September 2026. Get on the email list. You can go to hellohealing.co to get information about that event. It's going to be great. So once in a lifetime retreat, healing, connection, and discovery in Bali. I want to do that. If you haven't already, get on the Mature and Marvelous email list. Get on the list, join it. I put out something every now and then, once a month, put out some good stuff. Keep you guys together. So yes, and it's okay, Dr. Tachi. I was cleaning. I had to get the confetti up. I had the room open and I was there, but I was cleaning just in case somebody walked in. So I didn't really co-work yesterday. It's okay. Thank you, Mother, for coming through. Ron, Lisa, Spencer, and Dr. Chachi, whoever watches in the replay. Thank you for being here. Some folks love to be controlled. Look at all of the cults. Ooh, Ron. You know what? Should I do that one next? Maybe not next week. It's too much. I don't know. Ooh. Cults. Oh, man. Woo! Ron Foster. You're welcome. Hey, if you guys can get there, this is a great time. You have a whole year, just about. Well, yeah, to get yourself together to get to that retreat in Bali with Lisa. Everybody, thank you for tuning in. It's just a minute over. Not too bad, right? Not too bad. Just a tidbit of conversation. This is a really big conversation, but we got to start it someplace. We have to stop putting our head in the sand, acting as if this is not happening right here in our community. If you see something happening at this point, y'all got to start saying something. You know, if you see that little extra hand, that lingering hug or touch, don't assume it's just the pastor being extra kind. Get away from that, okay? All right, let me stop. Maybe we'll do cults next week. Oh my. All right, be safe. I will see you all next Friday, Lord willing. Hey, it's G. Thank you for watching this episode of Guuuuurl Listen. Be sure to catch me every Friday at 4 p.m. Central, 5 p.m. Eastern. And while you're here, I cordially invite you to like, share, and subscribe to my YouTube channel. See you all next week.